It's not the failure per se that you're scared. You're scared that people might say something when you fail. You're scared to be ashamed. You're scared to be embarrassed. That's the real reason why you're scared. And if you are scared because you don't want to be judged, let me tell you one thing. You know why that exists in your mind? Because you're letting other people's opinions get inside your mind. And that's one of the biggest problems we have in our age right now. Hey guys, welcome back to Small Talk, small conversations with huge impact. My name is Alec Cuenca and I'm your host for today. And before anything else, I would like to say thank you to each and every one of you who is listening here right now. I know that we have a messy routine because of the ECQ and GCQ stuff, but you clicking on this episode means the whole world to me. And I would like to give a huge shout out to the people who are sharing our podcast on their IG stories and on their other social media platforms. Thank you so much for sharing the podcast. The podcast grows because of you guys. We are able to reach more and more people because you guys are sharing it on IG story. And so please share it right now. If you're listening to this right now, share it on your IG story and do not forget to tag me on @SmallTalkPodcast. And also, if you're on Apple Podcasts, do not forget to leave this podcast a rating and review because this immensely helps the podcast climb the charts on education and self-improvement, and it helps podcasts, promote it to a lot more people. So please do that. Please help us climb that charts. And if you do that, I will be forever grateful to you. So thank you so much. And Today's topic is all going to be about the fear of failure. Imagine your life without Netflix. Imagine your life without Disney Plus, without Finding Nemo, without Toy Story, without Mickey Mouse, without Harry Potter. Imagine your life without Snow White, without any Disney-related movies. Now imagine your life without iPhones, without iPads, without MacBooks. Imagine your life without Apple products. Imagine your life without electricity, without light bulbs. Are you imagining it? That would be your life if the successful people we admire right now gave in to their fear of failure. Thank God they didn't give in. Our life right now wouldn't be as interesting as it is right now. It will be a very, very boring life. And the thing we need to see about that is that people can achieve a lot of success if they can only learn how to manage their fear of failure. So if you're afraid of failing, if you're afraid of losing, if you're afraid of rejections, then please stay with us until the end of the episode, and we will try to redefine and reframe what failure means to you. And I will try to give you some tools that can hopefully help you in adjusting your mindset so that you won't be afraid of failing. I want to do that by two parts. First is I want to try to reframe your definition of failure. And if that doesn't work, I will proceed with the second part where I will give you a more practical and more personal advice in dealing with failure. So let's not, waste any time. Let's now proceed on reframing failure. But before we do that, I want you to deassociate every single negative emotion, negative experience, every single negative notion that you have with the word failure. Imagine that this is your first time hearing the word failure. And I tell you the word failure and you ask, what's that mean? What does failure mean? It's like the first time that you hear the word failure, and I try to define it for you. And what you want to remember when you hear the word failure is these three concepts. First is failure doesn't make you weak. Failure makes you stronger. Failure is inevitable. We will always experience failure in our lives. But from what I see, successful people are successful because they had to go through a lot of failures in their life. The strongest warriors are built by the hardest battles that they fought. The best sailors in this land is possible because of the harshest sea storms that they had to conquer. What I want you to understand is that failure and people are successful because they learned how to manage their failures, turn their failures into something that they can use as their strength. They use their failures to their advantages. That's what I want you to remember. If you fail forward, if you try to get a lesson from your failures, then it won't be a failure for you. Sure, you failed, but if you get a lesson from that failure and use it as your strength, then you will be successful. Why? Because when we experience failure and we still manage to get on with our lives, to move on with our lives, to try and still get to the success that we want to get, we still get the success that we want to get. It's because we learned how to manage failures. You will always experience failure in your life. You will fail in your relationships. You will fail in your school. You will fail in your career. You will fail in life. But if you know that failure isn't an indicator that you are wrong, because for most of us, we are trained that way, right? In school, either you get a grade of pass or fail, and if you fail, then that means something's wrong with you. But failure is not that. And that kind of notion that society taught us is very wrong. Why? Because failure can be used as an avenue for us to get stronger. Failure isn't a dead end. Failure is an avenue. But you gotta keep going. You gotta move forward. And you gotta change a little direction, right? Failure redirects you to where you need to be. But you gotta keep moving. Why do we admire people that speak on TEDx? You know, the famous YouTube platform or speaking platform, TEDx. Why do we admire people who speak at that place? Partly it's because they're really good speakers, but more importantly, we want to be inspired. And how do we get inspired? We get inspired not by measuring the success that they achieve. We get inspired by looking at how many failures they had to overcome just to be in the position that where they are right now. We are more interested in seeing how many failures they overcame that led them to the position where they are right now. Do you know why I have the confidence of speaking here in front of you? It's not because of the achievements. I have so little achievements in my life. It's not because of the recognitions and the awards that I get or the likes and the views and everything that I get from this podcast. It's not that. I have the audacity, the guts, the confidence to speak in front of you right now because I know deep inside that I went through a lot of failures in my life, but I'm still standing here. And I am confident enough to speak. Why? Because I know that I can persevere whatever comes into my life. If anything else, failure teaches us how to persevere. Failure teaches us grit. Failure builds our character. And that's what we need to develop, our character. Kasi if we understand that, okay, we cannot avoid failing in life, then we just need to understand how can we use that failure to our advantage. And if we know how to persevere throughout the failures that we will experience, then nothing can stop us. You cannot defeat a man who refuses to give up. Kahit nakahiga ka na sa sobrang daming beses na sinapak ka ng buhay, if you continue to stand up, eventually mapapagod yung buhay kakasapak sa'yo. You will become successful if you use your failures as your strength. That's the first concept that I want you to remember. The second concept that I want you to remember is that failure isn't a dead end. Failure moves you one step closer to your success. Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks, was denied by 242 banks before one finally gave him the funds he needed. Walt Disney's theme park concept was denied 302 times before he finally got a yes. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company. If Howard Schultz said, if I get rejected 240 times, maybe this idea is flawed. Maybe this business concept is stupid. If he had done that, then we wouldn't have this big empire of Starbucks stores all over the globe. But because he didn't, because he believed that every failure that he gets will move him closer to finding the success that he wants. If you fail and you get the lesson, that means you're stronger. That means you're better. That means you're wiser. And that means you're braver. So fail fast, fail often, and fail forward. The more times we fail, the closer we get to finding success. You will fail, and we don't know how many times you will. But one thing is for sure, you do not need to worry about how many times you will fail. You just need to get that one success, and that will turn your life around. You know why I don't get so scared? This is one of the secrets why I don't get so scared when I fail a subject, I fail at life, a certain setback, or we experience a crisis. You know why I'm not that scared? Because I believe, I certainly believe 100%, I believe that I will be successful. No doubt. It will come. I just don't know when. But I am 100% sure that I will be successful. And that's what I want you to have. I want you to have that firm belief that you will be successful. You just don't know the timetable, but you will be successful. Right? So once you understand, once you have that belief that no matter what happens, you will be successful, then you'll be able to just enjoy the journey. And every success, every failure that you will come across, you will see, okay, this is a stepping stone for me to be able to get there. The lessons that this failure will teach me will be essential for my success. I know I will be successful. Kaya no matter what happens, what failure happens in my life, that will just draw me closer to my goal, to finding that one yes. Doesn't matter if I have 10 no's, 100 no's, or 1,000 no's, 1,000 rejections. I just need to find that one yes. And being able to understand that failure moves you closer to success will improve your mindset in a whole nother level. So please, remember, failure is not a dead end. Failure moves you closer to success. That's number 2. And the third concept that I want you to remember about failure is failure makes success so much sweeter. As I've said, failure is inevitable, right? And if you never experience setbacks in your life, it means one of two things. You're either living life in your comfort zone and not achieving much, or you're setting your goals and your dreams so low that success is easy to get. So if you never experience, the thing is, neither of those scenarios will result in a life that you're excited about, that you're passionate about. Neither of those scenarios results in you achieving your life's most important goals. That's why we know the saying that enjoy the process. You gotta love the process, right? Don't be obsessed with results. You gotta love the process. Why? Because it is so satisfying to see how far you've come when you look back at how low you got. If you were able to see the success you will have in the future, once you get to the success point, when you become successful, once you see how far you've come, how many struggles, how many obstacles you had to overcome just to be in that position, that scene is priceless. When you get at the top of the mountain, if you look at the horizon, it's pretty nice, right? But that's not the best part. You know what's the best part when you climb the peak of the mountain? The best part is when you are able to look down and look at all and look at how far you've traveled just to get to that position. Now, I was just there. I tripped on that spot. I slipped on that spot. I failed on that spot. But look at me right now. I'm on the highest. I'm on the peak. And I've gone, and every little failure that I've experienced made this moment so much sweeter. Looking back upon our failures after achieving our goals adds this certain satisfaction and sweetness to our lives na hindi mararanasan ng mga taong hindi dumanas sa hirap. And you gotta understand that failure will become your core ingredient so that your success will be so much sweeter. That's what I want you to remember. Those three will hopefully can help you reframe your notion about failure. And hopefully, hindi ka na matakot. You see na failure as your strength, you see failure as a stepping stone, and you see failure as an ingredient for your success to become sweeter. Those three, if you try to remember that every single time you experience a failure, then you won't be afraid of failure. But okay, let's say na you're still afraid of failing. You're still fearful na naintindihan mo na yung mga ganong bagay pero parang ayoko pa rin mag-fail. I still think na I don't want to fail. It's just too scary. It's just too risky. I still don't want to fail. Well, let me tell you something. If you understand the concept that I said, and you're still afraid of failing, then you're actually not afraid of failing. You know what you're afraid? You're afraid to get judged. You are afraid of other people's judgments. You are afraid of what other people will say, will think when you fail. It's not the failure per se that you're scared. You're scared that people might say something when you fail. You're scared to be ashamed. You're scared to be embarrassed. That's the real reason why you're scared. And if you are scared because you don't want to be judged, let me tell you one thing. You know why that exists in your mind? Because you're letting other people's opinions get inside your mind. And that's one of the biggest problems we have in our age right now. I know that because I've experienced that stuff too. In the early years of my young adult life, I always listened. I always anticipated what other people will say about the things that I've been doing. I've been consciously waiting on what they will say about it, what they think about it. And that's pretty stupid. Looking back, I could tell that habit of anticipating what other people will say is a pretty stupid idea. Why? Because your life, your decisions, your life that you are living right now, you will be the only one who will accept the consequences of your decisions. It's not them. So why are you letting someone else's opinion affect your life? This is your life. And people will always have something to say. Whether you be successful, whether you fail, people will always talk. And ang masakit pa doon, the people closest to us, sila pa yung mas magsasalita ng mga masakit na salita. Sila pa yung mas magpapakita ng disappointment sa atin. And that's pretty bullshit. Why? Because their opinion is not a part of your life. Your life is yours. And it's pretty stupid to let them decide what you want to do in life. If you let their opinions affect you, you know what? Eventually, your fear will crawl up and then you will be paralyzed. And the ending, they decided that you shouldn't go for it. If you have a dream, you need to protect your dream. You can't let anybody tell you that you can't do something. This is your life. This is your dream. And you need to protect it. There is a certain freedom and liberty when you learn the skill of not giving a fuck about what other people are saying. You won't give a fuck about your mother. You won't give a fuck about your father. You won't give a fuck about your best friend, your friends, your lover. You won't give a fuck about what other people are saying you. What matters is what you are telling yourself. So the moment you feel afraid of failing, is the moment you realize that I'm just listening to other people, what other people would say, and that will be harmful for your life, because this life, you will only live this life once. And if you're letting other people dictate your life, it's not going to be the life that you want to live. So please, do not listen to what other people are saying. Do not listen to other people's judgment. Don't give a shit about them. Di mahalaga kung pamilya, matagal mo nang kakilala, closest best friend mo. If they are feeding you negative things in your mind, you should learn to say fuck you to them. You should learn to say na this is what I want. And regardless, everyone thinks I will do it. It doesn't matter if you fail, if you succeed. You get to live the life that you want to live. You get to make the decisions and the choices that you want to make. Listen to yourself. Somehow your heart already knows what it wants. So please, stay away from negative people. Fill your head with more positive thoughts. Listen to more positive advice, to positive people that aligns with your dreams. Do not listen to other people's judgment. This is your life. Make it happen. Kaya pansin ko kasi yun and I've experienced that before. I had aunties, telling my cousins to stay away from me because I was a bad influence. I was a failure, and they're scared that I might influence my other cousins to be failures as well. Funny story, but it is true. I was like labeled as a failure by my family, but I got here because I learned how to say fuck you to their faces. I learned to keep my thoughts to myself. I learned how to manage the opinion of other people around me. I learned that this is my life and I will do what I want to do. I only have one life. I will say what I mean. I will do what I want regardless of what other people talk. When you do that, when you understand the freedom that not giving a fuck about what other people are saying about you, it just removes any fear that you have in life. And that includes the fear of failure. And that's all I have for you for this episode. I hope kahit na paano nagkaroon kayo ng bagong perspective on how you could deal with your fear of failure. If hindi pa rin malinaw, then do not forget to give me a message on @SmallTalk Podcast, and I will be happy to discuss how can I help you and how can we help each other through the podcast. Pero ayun lang, maraming salamat sa lahat ng tao na umabot hanggang dito. Again, if you want to share this episode, do not forget to tag me at Small Talk Podcasts, and do not forget to leave this podcast a rating and review if you are on Apple Podcasts. So yun lang, maraming salamat sa lahat ng taong nakinig. I hope to see you next episode. Thank you so much. Have a great week, guys. Peace.